Welcome back to In Pursuit 360. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about feelings and how we react to them out on the street in the career of law enforcement. Stand by. All right, welcome back. So, do me a favor before we start this thing off, hit that subscribe button and mash the like button, the little thumb thing down there. And let's get moving on feelings. Yes, that sounds kind of dainty, if you will, feelings, but they're important in the world of law enforcement, especially with some of the things that we've seen in the headlines today, like Minneapolis. Officers' reactions based off of emotion is what tends to get them into a lot of trouble. So I like to tell the story of what I used to tell my trainees or even my officers that were on my squad, especially if we had like a big pursuit or something like that. Or when you deal with some real dirtbags, they will do anything they can to try to get a rise out of you. And, you know, they'll call you names. We've all heard pig, 5-0, some other rather flowery comments that I'm not willing to put onto YouTube. I'm afraid that I'm going to, get my video banned. They definitely say a lot of things. They talk about how they did your mother last night or your sister, or, they were with your wife, and they'll just say anything they can to get a rise out of you. And so what I used to explain to my guys was they don't know you. They have no clue who you are. They've never met you before in your life. And they're throwing all these insults at you. Why are you taking that personally? What they're really mad at, what they're really upset with, besides just themselves for getting caught, is just the idea of law enforcement. So they're not mad or upset with you. They're mad or upset with the badge. This is what they're mad at. This is what they are calling all those names to. And the funny thing is, like I used to tell my guys all the time, these things are made out of metal. They have no feelings. So no matter what they say, no matter what they do, these are not going to get hurt. These are not directed at you. The comments they're making are not directed at you. They're directed at these. So don't take it personal. These don't take it personal. You're stupid. You're fat. You're ugly. Look, one's still gold, one's still silver. They didn't get red with anger. They didn't start blushing because they were embarrassed. They're perfectly fine. So, when you're out there on the street and these bad guys are being stupid and they're calling you names and they're making all of these really lewd comments and stuff, don't take it personal. It's all aimed at the badge on your shirt, the patch on your sleeve. That's made of cloth. That's not going to get hurt either. So don't react and get yourself in trouble because they've been stupid. You caught them. You're taking them to where they need to go. And then let the system take care of them. You know, that old thing about you can't be, judge, jury, and executioner? You can't be. That's not your job. Your job in law enforcement is to catch them, deliver them, and then testify against them. It's up to the system to deal with them after that. Nothing they say is going to hurt you. I had one guy one time who actually, I had him cuffed up, stuffed him in the back of my car. He'd given us a whole bunch of trouble, opened up the back door, went to say something to him, and he spit right in my face. Now, if you don't think that I wasn't interested in leaning inside that car and pummeling the living crap out of him, you're right, I did. But I didn't. I slammed the door. I took a deep breath. The rescue squad just so happened to already be there. I got some stuff from them and washed my face off. And meanwhile, he's spitting all over inside my cruiser. I mean, up through we had wired cage. He spit through the wired cage. It was on my computer. It was on my steering wheel. This is before we had the plastic. So we're talking back in maybe 96. Anybody that had plastic on their cage, they cut it and installed it themselves. And I hadn't gotten there yet. So drove him to the jail. I called ahead of time and let them know that I had an unruly guy. So they had about 7 or 8 jailers come out. And of course, he was calm then. You're not going to do anything then. Well, then they brought him in, switched, got my cuffs off. And as soon as he was safe and knew he wasn't going to get pummeled, he started acting up. So they brought out what they called the electric chair. And I love this story. I have to share this with you. So they bring out this electric chair, and what it is, it's a giant plastic molded chair with a bunch of straps on it. And they use it for the really unruly guys. Well, as soon as he sees the chair, he calms down. He's fine. Jail didn't care. He's going in the chair. In the chair he went. And as soon as they got about 3 straps on him, he started hooting and hollering all over again, yelling, screaming, cussing, everything. They get the last strap on him. One jailer opens up the door, and the chair's on wheels. The other jailer that's standing there next to him picks his foot up and kicks the chair. And he goes spinning into the room, into the cell. And right as after he passes the threshold and he's yelling and screaming and hollering, the jailer just slammed the door shut. So they knew it wasn't personal. The guy wasn't really angry at the individuals. He was angry at the system. He was angry at the badge. He was angry at the patch. He was angry at the jail, not the people. He doesn't know the people. And they handled themselves properly. They didn't abuse him. They didn't beat him. They didn't punch him. They didn't kick him. They strapped him in the chair because he was unruly, and they put him in a cell. It was kind of comical and entertaining to watch him go spinning off into the room as they slammed the door shut on him. He ended up getting convicted of course, everything else that I originally got him with anyway, but also ended up convicting him of felony assault on a police officer because in Virginia, they had just come out with the law that spitting on a police officer was considered felony assault. And he was convicted of it. No plea bargain, no deal, no nothing. He was convicted of, among other things, the felony assault on a law enforcement officer, and he ended up going to prison. I was perfectly fine with that. That turned out well. I didn't get sick, although I did have the workman's comp paperwork filled out so that way if something did come up that, I was covered. But I ended up being fine. Now imagine what would have happened if I would have not known better and understood that this is what he was mad at, not me. And I would have punched him, or I'd have kicked him. Or on the way to the jail, I would have slammed on my brakes and given him a waffle face, which is what we used to call it. If, oh, look at the doggy, and right into the cage they would go. And it was a grill thing, so we called them waffle faces, but I didn't know anybody that really did that. But sometimes it was really tempting. You got to keep control. Keep control of your emotions. Don't let these people get to you, because if they get to you, they're going to either get off of whatever it is that they're charged with, or they're going to end up civilly suing you for excessive force. And what good is that going to do? That's going to do nothing but hurt you and give them a laugh. And it's going to give your department, your agency, and every law enforcement officer across the country a black eye. So make sure, keep your emotions in check. Emotions and feelings in this scenario have no business out on the street. There's a difference between getting your feelings hurt and having empathy or compassion for somebody in a certain situation. You need to have that. I'm not telling you don't have that. What I'm telling you is don't let somebody hurt your feelings. They can't hurt your feelings. They can try to hurt these guys' feelings, but remember, they're made of metal. They don't get hurt. So, hopefully, this has made sense to you. If you are going into law enforcement, you definitely need to learn this lesson. If you're in law enforcement and maybe you know somebody who's getting their feelings hurt, maybe you can show them this video or explain to them or help them see that the anger is really towards the badge, not the person in the badge. And if you're a civilian out there and you're just watching because you're wanting to learn a little bit about law enforcement and why things work the way they do, maybe you should keep this part in mind as well. And if you know somebody that tends to, oh, look, there goes another pig, or whatever the new common term is for a cop, maybe put them in check and let them know that, what's funny is, yeah, you may call them a pig today, but when somebody's beating your butt tomorrow and they show up to help you, you'll like them then, won't you? So anyway, share the channel, subscribe, mash that like button, leave some comments if you want to see some different content, if you want to see something different, or if you have any questions, go ahead and leave those down there in the comments. I'll either write you back or I'll make a video about your question, and maybe I'll even mention you in it. So y'all make sure, have a good day. Thanks for tuning in to In Pursuit 360, and be safe out there.